I'm going to interview the player playing General Meagher, the Union overall commander and commander of the infantry in our No Gods, Just Generals American Civil War play-by-email game. For those who don't know, this is a game being run on a table, and the human commanders, there are two of them, General Meagher, who's the overall commander, General Cook, who's being played by another human who's the cavalry commander, and they're facing off against Confederate forces in a fictional battle at somewhere called Sanders Farm, which again is a fictional area. And the Confederates are being run by two separate AIs. So, General Meagher, Mark, pleasure to have you with me. So if we look at it, things for the listener, the Union side is split into two brigades, a cavalry brigade under General Cook, who has three cavalry regiments and a battery of 4 6-pounder guns. So that gives him about 750 men and 4 guns. He was an hour ahead of you in gameplay, so he started actually on the table, and you are the infantry commander and the overall commander, and you've got 4 Union infantry regiments and a battery of 4 6-pounders yourself. You were allowed to converse, according to the rules of the game, with Russ, who plays General Cook, before the battle, but you were given no details. You weren't given any intelligence other than you're facing the Confederates, so you don't know the makeup of the enemy or how many of the enemy they are. How did you make the initial decisions, or how did the initial conversation with Russ go in respect to that, of deciding who was going to do what?
If I'm totally honest, we didn't really have one. I think General Cook came back to me and just said that he planned to scout ahead, ideally in the area of the Sanders Farm, if I remember rightly, and I think there's some hills to the north west of the farm. I'm trying to picture the map in my head, and I think that was the initial brief that he gave me, and I just agreed along with it. It seemed sound enough at the time.
I'll just get you the map up so you've got something to refer to
you.
There. So, obviously, he's coming on the southern part of the old Turnpike Road. As you understand it, he's scouting north along the Turnpike Road. What sort of decision-making process have you gone through? I know you've spent an hour of the game marching along the Turnpike Road, in effect off table. You arrived at 9 o'clock. Talk to me about your initial sort of view that you had from the photographs for 9 o'clock, and you had the 9:15 photographs as well, because at 9:15 you've met up with General Cook. What were you expecting to see, and what did you actually see?
I think on the initial ones there was very little at all, and I think in my initial thought on coming onto the field was to try and make contact with General Cook to find out what information he could provide as to any enemy whereabouts, their disposition, and obviously most importantly, you can give me a rough estimate on their strength. So that was my main concern when I came on. The other process I just went through was I would just keep on marching in direction of Sanders Farm, since the orders were to capture and hold the farm, to be used as a staging point or a depot for supply. So I didn't really give it too much thought. I think it was more a case of I don't want to use the term, well, I will say the term suck it and see, but I think it was more a case of, well, the best thing to do is just keep on going forward. Let's see if I can get to the farm and seize that, and then hopefully be able to make contact with Cook and find out if anything was occurring. I think there was, I'm trying to remember when I first did, I think there was a mention I could hear musketry fire. So again, it was just a case of really just marching to the sound of the guns, and then taking it from there.
Yeah. So obviously you're looking from the figure view on the table. How does this, and this might seem an obvious question, but how does this affect your decision making as opposed to if you were stood as a regular wargamer with a bird's eye view of the table and the position of all the units on there, for want of a better word. Unless we're using hidden movements, but obviously we are in a way, but not.
Well, I think it obviously does make a big difference, because if you've got the God's eye view of the table, as everybody will know, you can see where the enemy forces are. You have an idea. You can see the terrain that's in front of you, and therefore you can make your decisions accordingly. So if you can see 3 or 4 enemy regiments of infantry, for argument's sake, off to the northwest, you would then say, right, you probably make a decision to start to angle your own forces towards them directly. And not having that, I decided to play it safe. Some, people can agree or not agree, but to stay on the road. Mainly thinking along the lines, it's going to be the quickest route, rather than me going across country, and keep my forces together, or in terms of my brigade, to keep it together, rather than splitting a regiment off, or regiments, because I don't know the strength of the enemy. Yeah. So there was a slight temptation, I think, went through my mind to send maybe perhaps one regiment towards the farm to try and seize the farm. But then, without fully knowing what the situation was, where Cook was, and what forces I was presuming he'd engaged, I decided to keep everything as one cohesive unit for the present time.
Yeah.
And then, if need be, I could adapt the plan further along the line. But I suppose it was more almost like, I know what my objective is, so I'll stick with that objective, so to speak, but I wasn't going to take any unnecessary risks.
So it would be fair to say that you're not a cautious commander normally on the tabletop. Would you disagree with me with that? So has the restrictive view actually changed the way you would command your troops?
Yeah, it does at the moment. Yeah, it does at the moment, because you obviously can't, as I said, I don't know fully where the enemy is, and I don't know their actual strength. So yes, it has been mentioned before that perhaps I'm slightly aggressive in my gameplay, and once I've got a better idea of the disposition of the enemy, then maybe I'll go back to true to form. But I wouldn't agree totally that I tend to be aggressive. At the moment, I think at the moment my main concern is finding out where Cook is and what forces he is engaged, and how therefore I can assist him if he's up against a larger or more numerous force. But at the moment, I'm still a little bit scant on information in regard to that.